Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
After months of headlines, leaked court filings, and social media firestorms, Sean Jay-Z Carter walked into the courtroom, not as hip-hop royalty, but as a man under oath, tethered to a scandal he claimed no part in. With Diddy's empire collapsing and freak-off parties now etched into legal records, Jay-Z found himself pulled into the chaos by proximity. Now, under the sharp glare of public scrutiny, he had one shot to set the record straight. This was the day Jay-Z took the stand. The day Jay-Z took the stand. Power, secrets, and silent witness. The courtroom was heavy with tension, the kind that settles after hours of legal sparring. The prosecution was ready to reintroduce evidence tied to Cassie Ventura's explosive testimony. Allegations that had already rocked the industry. Diddy's lawyers shuffled their papers with the calm confidence of men who had seen it all before. But then, the doors swung open. Not quietly, not timidly, but with the weight of a storm finally breaking loose. In walked Sean Jay-Z Carter, dressed in a midnight navy suit so sharp it could have been armor. No entourage, no Beyoncé by his side, no Roc Nation security detail. Just him, stepping into a courtroom that hadn't expected his presence on the witness list. Gasps echoed. Journalists frozen mid-note. Even Cassie Ventura, seated near the prosecution, leaned in, exchanging whispers with her attorney. The judge raised an eyebrow, a subtle sign that this was bigger than anyone anticipated. Jay-Z's entrance was no accident. Sources say he had pushed for a sealed session, wanting his testimony kept private. The court declined. Transparency was the order of the day, and now Jay-Z was about to perform, not with rhymes, but with memories. Taking the stand, he swore his oath in front of federal prosecutors, veteran entertainment reporters, and high-powered lawyers who once closed million-dollar deals over lavish brunches. The room leaned in, as if hearing the first lines of a secret track, one never meant for public ears. "I want to make this clear," Jay-Z said, his voice steady but taut. "I came here because silence isn't an option anymore." The courtroom shifted. The mogul, the rapper, the billionaire businessman, none of that mattered. Here was just a man facing a reckoning. Jay-Z didn't start with flat-out denial. Instead, he offered context. Dangerous context. "Yes, I've been at Diddy's events. Yes, I attended them. But what I saw, and what I was told, those were two very different things." His words dropped like stones. His defense team stiffened. Was this help or a hazard? According to sources close to the case, Jay-Z described the backstage reality: non-disclosure agreements, confiscated phones, and curtained-off rooms. "I never went inside, never signed those papers, but I knew," he admitted, voice low. Knew what? That something was wrong, that these gatherings weren't just parties. They were carefully constructed systems of control, cloaked in glitz but built on fear. When asked if he'd witnessed any crimes, Jay-Z hesitated. "Not directly," he said, "but enough to know I shouldn't have been there." He recounted a 2015 Miami party, reportedly for Christian Combs' birthday, where attendees wore masks and some scenes made even hardened guests uncomfortable. One man in leather and high heels passed by, visibly scared. Jay-Z left early, calling a private driver to avoid any association. Then the prosecution revealed a blurry but authenticated photo. Jay-Z, Diddy, LeBron James, and Beyoncé in a room with a man in a latex mask kneeling on a velvet pillow. The image spoke volumes. Jay-Z's reaction? Silence. "I was told it was performance art," he said. "I didn't laugh. I left." Turning to Diddy, Jay-Z's tone hardened. "You knew people trusted you. You used that." For the first time in the trial, Diddy's mask slipped. His jaw dropped. This wasn't just a courtroom drama. It was a reckoning with an era of power, influence, and shadows no one wanted to fully see. Jay-Z's testimony didn't clear the air. It thickened it, exposing cracks in the facade of celebrity glamour, hinting at a darker truth lurking behind the velvet ropes and flashing cameras. And for those watching, the public, the jury, the media, the question lingered. How deep did the silence run? And what price would be paid for breaking it? Breaking point. Jay-Z's testimony shifts the game. Then came the moment that flipped Jay-Z's testimony from damage control to full-on disruption. According to sources close to the trial, Jay-Z revealed a private conversation with Diddy in late 2018, just as whispers of looming investigations began to ripple through the music industry. The tone, according to those familiar with the call, was urgent. "He told me, they're coming for me. You gotta be careful who you stand next to," Jay-Z testified, his voice measured, yet unmistakably burdened. He said he responded with a pointed question. "Did you do anything I can't come back from?" And Diddy allegedly answered, "It's just parties, Jay. Just experiences. Nobody gets hurt unless they want to." Jay-Z paused. "That was the last real conversation we had." The room sat frozen. Spectators, attorneys, and even court officers were visibly stunned. That exchange wasn't just an anecdote. It was a fracture, a foreshadowing, and possibly a red flag ignored. From that moment forward, Jay-Z testified, he made deliberate moves to distance himself. He said he turned down invitations to revolt summits and private events, quietly pulled out of collaborative projects, and told Roc Nation's leadership to put space, publicly and privately, between his brand and Diddy's. Then came a key exhibit, an email from January 2020, presented by the prosecution. The message, sent to Jay-Z's legal team, warned that NDAs from past events may be enforceable through intimidation or be used against attendees regardless of involvement. According to legal analysts, the email raised questions about coercion and the systemic nature of enforced silence in the entertainment industry. Jay-Z acknowledged receiving the message. "I knew what that meant. They were going to use silence as a shield. I wasn't about to get caught behind it." He looked across the room, making eye contact with members of the jury. "He used to be my brother, but now I see who he really was, and who I almost became by standing too close." The gallery sat speechless, and from that point on, Jay-Z was no longer just a tangential celebrity dragged into the chaos. He had positioned himself as a reluctant witness to a culture allegedly fueled by control, secrecy, and exploitation. But then, as the weight of the room hung thick with implication, Jay-Z shifted gears and turned toward the most personal part of his testimony, his family. He told the jury, "When my name gets dragged, so does theirs." Jay-Z described how the allegations had begun seeping into his home life. His daughter, Blue Ivy, now a teenager, had approached him after reading an article online. "She came to me asking what a freak-off was," he said. "That's not something a father should ever have to explain." He recalled how the press parked outside their Los Angeles home for days, how Beyoncé had to cancel meetings and reschedule rehearsals to avoid the attention, how even their twins' preschool teachers were forced to field press inquiries. According to court observers, Jay-Z's voice tightened as he explained the ripple effects. "My wife has stood by me through everything," he continued. "But this wasn't business drama or career competition. This was a nuclear bomb dropped on our family. And the worst part? It was all based on a lie." He then addressed one of the most damaging claims directly, the allegation that he and Beyoncé were present at an infamous freak-off party in Miami in 2015. Jay-Z reached into a file and pulled out flight logs, hotel invoices, photos, and time-stamped videos. "On the night in question, we were in Paris. It was our anniversary. We stayed at Hotel Plaza Athénée. I've included the receipts, photos, video timestamps, and eyewitness accounts. We weren't there." The documents were reviewed. The judge nodded. Everything checked out. Then he looked straight ahead. "When did we stop demanding proof? When did accusation become conviction?" And in that moment, it was clear. Jay-Z wasn't just protecting a name. He was defending a legacy, a brand, a family, and most importantly, a truth he refused to let die in silence. Crossfire. Jay-Z faces the heat. The courtroom was ice-cold with tension as Jay-Z's direct testimony concluded, but the heat was only beginning to rise. The lead prosecutor, a formidable presence in dark-rimmed glasses and a perfectly pressed Navy suit, stood and approached the bench with a slow, deliberate pace. Whispers had swirled around his name for weeks, an attorney infamous for landing punches where reputations lived. According to courtroom insiders, his specialty wasn't theatrics, it was pressure. And now all of it was about to bear down on Sean Carter. He didn't waste time. "Mr. Carter," the prosecutor began, voice calm but with the precision of a scalpel, You've made it clear you were never at the Miami event in question. You've supplied documentation, photos, timestamps. But let's talk about pattern. Proximity. The gallery leaned in. You've attended events hosted by Mr. Combs for over 2 decades, correct? Jay-Z didn't flinch. Correct. And during those years, did you ever raise concerns about the nature of those events? Any of them? There it was. The insinuation. That silence equals complicity. Jay-Z took a breath. I raised concerns privately, but I also walked away. The prosecutor pressed. And did you ever report those concerns? To law enforcement, to media, to any authority figure? No, Jay-Z admitted. Because at the time, I didn't think it was criminal. I thought it was excessive, distasteful, but not illegal. According to court transcripts, the prosecutor then pivoted toward a 2012 Hamptons event, another party allegedly hosted by Diddy, where guests were reportedly asked to surrender phones and sign NDAs before entering. Jay-Z's name appeared on the guest list. Were you there? The prosecutor asked. I was, for the first hour, Jay-Z replied. It was a music industry gathering. We were celebrating a distribution milestone. Did you witness anything inappropriate? Jay-Z's answer came quick, firm. Not that night, but I heard whispers after. Always whispers. The prosecutor raised a document, an NDA from that very party. Your signature isn't on this, but would you agree this was common practice? Jay-Z nodded slowly. In that circle, yes, but not in mine. The room was silent for a beat. Then the prosecutor made his next move. Would it surprise you to learn that multiple witnesses claim your presence at later events, ones far less public, where alleged coercion took place? Jay-Z didn't blink. It wouldn't surprise me that people talk, but facts are different from stories. The prosecutor then introduced an anonymous affidavit, submitted under seal, identity withheld, but reportedly from a former event staffer who claimed to have seen Jay-Z and Diddy in private VIP areas where access was tightly controlled. The implication, complicity by association. But Jay-Z was ready. I know the affidavit you're referring to, he said. We reviewed it during pre-trial disclosures. The timeline doesn't match. I wasn't even in the country that weekend. My passport stamp proves that. He handed over a copy of his 2017 travel record, showing he had been in Tokyo at the time of the alleged incident. The prosecutor, unfazed, moved on to a topic many had quietly wondered about, but few dared to ask. Beyoncé. Isn't it true, he asked, that your wife's influence, her image, her business ventures, are all intertwined with yours? And if you go down, she goes down with you? Objections flew immediately from Jay-Z's legal team. The judge sustained them, but the damage lingered in the air like smoke. Jay-Z didn't respond directly, but when he spoke again, it was with precision. We've built something clean, intentional, and I won't let it be dragged through mud based on vibes, rumors, and recycled lies. He reaffirmed that neither he nor Beyoncé had ever been involved in the alleged misconduct. And once again, he pointed to records, video evidence, and public documentation proving their whereabouts on key dates tied to the scandal. But the prosecutor's strategy wasn't to prove guilt. It was to plant seeds. Seeds of doubt, seeds of proximity, seeds that public opinion would water. By the time the cross-examination ended, Jay-Z hadn't cracked, but it was clear. The courtroom was not a space for legends. It was a place for dissection. And every word he spoke would be pulled apart in headlines, hashtags, and group chats. Jay-Z stepped down from the witness stand like a man who had just walked through a minefield, still standing, but not unscathed. And outside the courthouse, the narrative was already evolving. Because now it wasn't just about Diddy, it was about who knew what, and when, and what silence was really worth in the court of public opinion. The fallout, loyalty, legacy, and leaks. By the time Jay-Z exited the courthouse, the ripple effect of his testimony had already begun to crash onto the shores of the industry he helped shape. His words weren't just court statements. They were canonized in real time across social media. late-night panels, and text threads between execs scrambling to reassess affiliations. And while his denials were firm and well-supported, they cracked open a deeper question that no witness could dodge. Who else was in the room? According to court transcripts and verified flight logs, several A-list celebrities attended Diddy's past private events, including industry moguls, influencers, and athletes. Many of them, like Jay-Z, have issued carefully worded statements distancing themselves. But Jay-Z's testimony, placed under oath, raised the stakes. The standard was now legal. Allegedly, prosecutors have quietly begun re-evaluating subpoenas for others, rumored to have attended similar gatherings. Sources close to the investigation told The Washington Post that Jay-Z's testimony opened the door for the prosecution to begin drawing parallels between celebrity silence and systemic enablement. While there's no indication Jay-Z is under any legal threat, insiders suggest his appearance sent a message to others. Cooperation may be the only way to survive the storm. Behind the scenes, Roc Nation reportedly increased its internal vetting of past business dealings with Combs-related ventures. According to financial disclosure filings, multiple sponsorship and partnership deals had already been quietly dissolved in late 2023, around the time Diddy's legal woes intensified. Whether Jay-Z knew what was coming or was protecting his brand, the timing now looks strategic. Meanwhile, Beyoncé's absence during her husband's testimony did not go unnoticed. While some speculated it was a deliberate move to separate her image from the courtroom drama, others pointed to security and privacy concerns. According to TMZ, the couple had received multiple threats in the days leading up to Jay-Z's appearance. As the dust settled, legal experts pointed to one of Jay-Z's final lines, "I'm not here to protect Diddy," as a watershed moment. That single sentence, clipped and circulated across platforms, marked a quiet but powerful shift. Diddy, once the untouchable titan of hip-hop, now found himself increasingly isolated. Insiders close to the bad boy circle revealed that Combs has grown paranoid in recent weeks, allegedly cutting off longtime advisors, vetting inner-circle phone calls, and even relocating temporarily between residences. According to investigative journalist Charles Robertson, who has been tracking Combs' legal unraveling, the mogul has taken drastic steps to avoid electronic surveillance, even resorting to in-person meetings, burner phones, and, in one instance, a handwritten letter couriered by a former driver. Simultaneously, federal investigators are allegedly expanding their focus. New York-based sources confirm that the Department of Justice has been reviewing travel manifests, encrypted text logs, and property leases tied to Combs' entertainment ventures going back a decade. One particular location, a now shuttered estate in the Bahamas, has emerged as a focal point, with whistleblower claims that it served as a retreat for high-value guests and off-grid gatherings. Social media erupted once more when leaked court documents hinted that the prosecution may soon call on witnesses connected to those retreats. While names remain sealed, legal analysts suggest more high-profile testimonies could drop, potentially roping in figures from fashion, tech, and sports. The narrative is no longer confined to music. It's bleeding into every corner of celebrity culture. And the prosecution, they weren't done, not even close. Because next on their list was a name just as iconic, just as connected, and just as potentially dangerous to the house of cards everyone insisted was only a myth. Legacy on trial. The reckoning beyond the courtroom. As the final week of proceedings approached, the courtroom became more than just a stage for legal debate. It became a confessional booth for an industry grappling with its darkest truths. Jay-Z's testimony had pulled back the velvet curtain just enough to let the public peek into a world that had long been mythologized, protected, and, according to some insiders, silently complicit. And now, with the world watching, the dominoes were beginning to fall. Verified reports confirmed that several former Bad Boy Records executives had received subpoenas in the days following Jay-Z's testimony. Prosecutors, according to legal insiders speaking with Reuters, were casting a wider net, not just around Diddy's alleged criminal operations, but around the culture of willful blindness that allegedly allowed them to persist for over 2 decades. A newly released deposition from a former tour manager linked to the 2005 to 2010 era detailed what he described as a culture of excess and silence. While the statement didn't name Jay-Z, It added to the pressure mounting around the upper echelon of industry elites. Allegedly, guests at Diddy-hosted after-parties were often required to sign NDAs before entry, a fact corroborated by a leaked contract now entered into evidence. The document, verified by multiple media outlets, specifically prohibited guests from filming, recording, or describing any events or activities witnessed on the premises. According to Vanity Fair, similar agreements were used at private events in locations including Miami, Los Angeles, and the Bahamas. In the digital arena, the narrative was shifting yet again. Influential podcasters and TikTok creators began piecing together timelines of celebrity interactions, collaborations, and partnerships. Conspiracy talk surged with user-generated maps, timelines, and cross-referenced photos, painting Jay-Z as either a whistleblower or a master deflector, depending on the viewer's bias. But perhaps most telling was the silence from Diddy himself. Despite his once infamous social media presence, Combs had vanished from all platforms. His accounts remained inactive. According to The Hollywood Reporter, a legal team spokesperson confirmed he was cooperating with ongoing investigations, but refused further comment. Meanwhile, industry fallout intensified. Spotify quietly removed a Diddy Essentials playlist from its curated library. A major vodka brand previously endorsed by Combs suspended its campaign indefinitely. Several artists who once proudly claimed affiliation with Bad Boy scrubbed old Instagram posts, replacing them with generic inspirational quotes or blackout images. Jay-Z, for his part, returned to business as usual, or so it seemed. Photos surfaced of him attending a private brunch in Bel Air days after his testimony, accompanied by high-profile figures in tech, fashion, and sports. No statement was made, and no interviews were given. But his appearance, calm, collected, deliberate, sent a message. He had faced the fire, and he wasn't retreating. Still, according to The New Yorker, internal sources at Roc Nation admitted the company had begun crisis auditing all past affiliations. Publicly, the firm remained steady, but behind the scenes, files were being reviewed, deals re-examined, and affiliations quietly phased out. And while Jay-Z may have survived the witness stand, his presence there opened the floodgates, because now, every power broker, every gatekeeper, every untouchable in the industry was being looked at differently. The trial of Sean Combs was still unfolding, but culturally, something deeper was on the line. A reckoning with the unchecked power, the insulated wealth, and the culture of silence that built modern hip-hop's empire. Whether Jay-Z was a shield, a savior, or simply a survivor remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. In this new era of accountability, no name, not even his, is beyond question. Do you think that Jay-Z's testimony helped Diddy's case or worsened it? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Smash that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Be sure to turn on the notification bell to be notified of our latest uploads. Thanks for watching.